Hi all, welcome to the Polco Minute, where you hear the latest best practices and news in local government and civic engagement. I'm Angelica Waddell with this week's headlines. Our first article today comes from Bloomberg City Lab writer Brenton Mock. Mock recently interviewed St. Louis's first Black woman mayor, elected just last month. Tashara Jones ran for the first time in 2017 and lost by just 888 votes. At that time, the city observed partisan primaries, which allowed for voting splitting among 5 Black candidates. And with no runoffs, the result was a mayoral winner with only 32% of the votes. In an effort to rectify being governed by the minority opinions, St. Louis has a new approval voting system in place. According to Jones, this new system allows residents to vote for the number of candidates that they like, rather than being restricted to just one vote. Then the top 2 vote getters go for a runoff. Jones says this is a new form of democracy that allows people to have choices and to stop being governed by the minority. Jones and Alderwoman Cara Spencer were the top runners from the nonpartisan primary vote in March. Then Jones went on to defeat her runoff challenger by roughly 2,300 votes. Jones is taking over a city challenged by pandemic, police violence, worsening racial disparities, and rising violent crime. But she's also taking over as the American Rescue Plan Act earmarks over $500 million for the city's recovery. She has plans to launch a participatory budgeting process to get as much public input as possible. But not before she offers residents some direct relief in the form of rent, utility, and mortgage assistance, small business assistance, and taking care of the unhoused. As a single Black mom serving the public for her entire career, Jones says she will look at every issue through a racial equity lens. She plans to ensure that every decision made helps those who have been disenfranchised, redlined, and ignored for way too long. Next today, we take a look at Polco's Community Equity and Inclusion Survey and how it can help increase a sense of belonging for everyone in your community. The goal of the survey is to get a sense of community's strengths and weaknesses when it comes to inclusion and how welcome residents feel. According to the nationwide survey data, a majority of residents do feel positive about inclusion and equity in their communities. But the survey highlights disparities that exist between different demographic groups. For example, 80% of men, people who are white, and people of Christian faith think their communities are very welcoming. In contrast, only 29% of people with lower incomes find their communities very welcoming. And this is just one way that survey data is helping local governments understand the voices of diverse community members. Overall, residents believe that local governments should prioritize and address equity differences in the criminal justice system, health and education, and jobs and housing categories. And survey data is helping city leaders not only make better decisions in these categories, but also to track and better measure their progress moving forward. And finally today, we turn to an article by Ad Boot, who helps us learn how to spot alignment or lack of alignment during team meetings. Boot says that the first thing to look for is the kind of language the team is using. Are you hearing a lot of them and you, or more we and us? If it's the former, start asking them why they are choosing that language. A conscious shift in language can affect everyone's mental focus and the atmosphere of the entire meeting. Another thing to watch out for is how often team members are asking questions rather than just sharing opinions and explanations. This is a matter of listening to understand versus listening to react, and mutual understanding requires lots of questions. Boot says that asking these questions during meetings could make a huge difference in the energy, focus, and alignment of your team. Thanks for watching the Polco Minute with me. My name is Angelica Waddell, Director of Communications at Polco National Research Center. Polco makes it easy for local governments to get accurate and reliable feedback from their communities. How are you keeping up with today's engagement issues and trends? Join a panel discussion with other local government leaders and us nationwide. Connect with me on LinkedIn or send us a note at polco.us/contact to let us know if you're in. See you next time.